he needs an auspicious introduction. Christopher is a leader of Power and Presence International Retreats and monthly mindfulness inquiry circles. He's a licensed spiritual practitioner at the Oakland Center for Spiritual Living and a monthly speaker at the Home of Truth. And we're so blessed to have him here.
Thank you. Gotta get my props all just right. Before I get into the talk, I've got to say how great it is to be here. And I really mean that. It's like you're going through a big change. Not only the new year, but Gregory and Amy, whoa! Which has left a void, which has left us in a change. And how are we responding to that change? Life continually moves. And so how present are we to the new changes that are happening? And as I walked in this morning, there was glitches here and there, but there was joy within the glitches. And people have stood up and standing up and singing up, and I have great, great hopes for the uprising of all of this. And also the amount of volunteers that are coming forward is amazing. Because what takes a village is villagers that are participating in the village. And so how great it is that I can see the participation within the village. I can feel it. So with that being said, before I speak, I like to stop, look, and feel. You've all heard stop, look, and listen. That's a little variation on that. Stop, look, and feel. What does that mean? To actually stop, to take the breath, to look outside and inside at the same time, and then feel what is alive and present. What is alive and present in this moment? And so I feel my body. I feel the room. I look at your beautiful faces. I arrive at exactly where I am, and from this place of presence and essence, I speak. Wouldn't that be wonderful if everyone, before they spoke, were to stop, look, and feel? What a different world it would be. So the topic is the power of presence. What does that mean? Come on. We've heard the power of now and the mindfulness and all of this and that, but what's the power of presence? Is there power within presence? Yes. And that's what this is going to be about today, is taking a look at what is that specific power that lies within presence, that is always available and it's always here. And if we look, nice. If we look, life is always happening. Here's life. Always happening, always alive, always fresh, always now. Have you ever had a moment that wasn't now? No. Now the mind will tell you otherwise. The mind will scare you about the future and will get you all pissed off about what happened in the past. But the reality is, it's always fresh now. Yet the mind not going for it. So life happens, always fresh, alive, and it touches us because we're in it. And it hits our habit, and it moves right through our neural pathways, and guess what? Action happens. usually unconscious. We just respond. Someone cuts us off in the freeway. I hate using that, but it happens. You cut off, and up comes the finger of approval. So what happens is a knee-jerk reaction happens. There's no choice here. It just happens. There's no presence. If we look at presence here, the center of presence is essence. Where is our essence? Have we touched our essence? That which was never born and never dies. It is called by so many names. Have we touched that essence? No. Over here, boom. We don't have time for that. We got to get the job done. Up comes the finger of approval, and we're down the road because we've got stuff to do. We haven't looked at the larger picture. The larger picture is there's 1,000 things that could be going on in that driver's mind. They could be taking their pregnant wife to the hospital. They could be coming away from having bad news at a hospital. And they're really upset, and they are on a track. And I know none of us in here have done that, which is really good. But most of the time, I'll speak for myself now because you're way more advanced. I'm usually in this habit most of the time. Case in point, tying my shoes this morning. I actually noticed, wow, I have no idea how to tie my shoes. If I were to tell my 5-year-old grandson, who hasn't learned quite yet how to tie my shoes, but yet my hands so beautifully, deftly just, it's done. No thought. It's a miracle. Or is it? It's just a natural happening until I bring consciousness or presence or awareness to it, and all of a sudden it becomes magical. So something about being present brings up other possibilities. And that's the point. That's where the power is. If you're over here in automatic, there's no essence. You haven't touched it. It's automatic, boom, gets the job done, and that's important if a tiger is chasing you. But if the tiger's not chasing you, maybe there's a chance to stop, which is that little gap, look and be present and to feel. And if once that happens, it opens up this whole possibility of touching essence. And out of this essence, our presence, action can occur. And it's a different kind of action. Very different. Case in point, there was a study, Georgia University, and they have 2 groups of students, and college students, and both groups were to go in and interview for this wonderful program that they were going to be invited to take. And at the end of that, they were decided if you're accepted or if you're not accepted. So each student goes in and presents themselves and then comes back, and a minute later they're told, nope, you didn't make it, or yes, you did make it. So, this group goes in, half of them make it, half of them don't make it. This group goes in, half of them make it, half of them don't make it. They take this group over here, they bring them over to the side, and they give them a raisin. Now this is a special raisin. This raisin is not only very tasty, but they invite the people, the students, to become very present to that raisin. To look at the texture, to feel it in their fingers, to get an idea of its weight, to smell it, to put it in the mouth, dissolve it, taste it, savor it. That's presence. You see what they did? They're very clever researchers. They got them to break the trance. They went into presence, and now we're going to see what happens. So, all of the students then are given these little air horns. And they're to go out and they're to follow around people. And if they misbehave, they give them a little blast. Now, guess what happened? I'm sure you know. The people that were rejected and didn't have a raisin were aggressive. So they're just blasting away. The students that had the raisin, either if they were rejected or not, they were pretty chill. It actually changed their behavior. Something in them had settled. They were more in touch with their humanity and their essence. Now, to be fair, the group that was accepted, and they felt uplifted too because they were accepted, they did pretty good with the horn too. But the point is, when life throws you a rejection, if you were to eat a raisin or breathe or anything, you get what I'm saying. It's it's stopping, it's creating that gap, it's listening, it's being present, it's feeling. We're always concerned with the outside. Always. It's important to be concerned with the outside. Danger's on the outside. We are programmed for that. But what about quieting a little bit so that we can also feel the outside? That's a whole different muscle. Whole different muscle. Presence is more about feeling. It's not about thinking. It's about being receptive and actually feeling. That's what's transforming. You will forget what I say. You'll probably forget whatever I do. But you'll always remember how I made you feel. How others make you feel is so incredibly important. And you know that. I'm preaching to the choir because you already know all this stuff. And that little Power of Presence book by Practicing the Power of Now by Tolley. Excellent. Excellent. It's good stuff. So I was having a bad day on Monday. I mean, a really bad day. Trifecta of bad days. The car broke down, the deal in Hawaii is going south, and I can't get my neighbor's signature on a new house I'm trying to build to sign off. They refuse to even look at the plans. And so I'm having one of those bad days where a cookie's not going to do it. And I'm spinning. And I know what you know what I'm talking about. It's like when you get really bad news, up it comes, up it comes. The thoughts keep coming, trying to help solve the issue. Well, here comes the thought. Oh my, where am I going to take the car? Who's going to tow it? I don't know, it's going to cost a lot of money. Oh, this thing in Hawaii. And I'm spinning around and around. And you know what I'm talking about. So, I teach this stuff. I should be able to snap it like that. So, listening to myself, I'm going, you've got to create the gap. You've got to stop it. That didn't work. It helped, but it didn't work. So I got home, I sat down in my chair, I looked out my window, and I have a beautiful view of San Francisco, but it was cloudy and rainy. Perfect. So I'm sitting in the chair, looking out, cloudy and raining, and I'm going, okay, where's my focus? Where's the focus of attention? And I started looking at the clouds, and I started becoming interested in the clouds. I don't know why, just interested in the clouds. And I went, wow, those are really kind of cool. There's like little light and dark, and it's raining over here, and all of a sudden the system starts to settle down. And the scary thoughts start to slow down. It's funny, you know those fans, those big whirly-bird fans that you have that you turn on when you need to have cooling? And when you turn them off, they don't stop instantly. They slow down. Slow down. Well, that's what happens when we access presence, when we drop in. It doesn't happen immediately. You sort of, and it's a settling. And as I was sitting there looking out at the gray day, the gray became cool. It was misty. It was kind of cozy. They had a quality to it. And the more I settled in, the more relaxed. And I arrived right where I was sitting, without the thoughts of interference, without the confusion of my own mind scaring me about the future. I had arrived. And in that moment, of course, a bird goes by. I love birds. And this bird goes by, and something happens when I see a bird. And it's like I feel the bird, and the bird maybe feels me, I don't know, but it feels like it does. And I disappear. It's just the bird, the sky, and awareness. I've arrived. I touch the essence. Isn't this what we're looking for? Only always. Yet, how confused we can be when habit is our default, which it should be. But we can change habits. We can default in a different direction. We can default into presence, arriving at where we are. An old couple, much older than anybody here, old couple, and they were losing their memory. So they decided, well, we're having trouble, we're going to go to the doctor. The doctor said, no problem, just write it down. They said, okay. So they came back. Wife says, I'm going to do some sewing. Honey, would you give me some ice cream? And write it down. And the husband says, okay, I don't need to write it down, I got it. And the wife says, well, how about some whipped cream on that ice cream? But write it down. He says, no, you got it. Ice cream, whipped cream, no problem. Wife says, okay, one last time, put a cherry on top. See if you remember that. Husband says, no problem, I don't need to write it down. Ice cream, whipped cream, cherry, no problem. Goes in, comes out 20 minutes later. He's bringing out this plate. It's bacon and eggs. Hands it to her. And she looks at him and goes, oh, honey, you forgot the toast. Okay, now I tell that joke for the reason is, when we hear a good joke, we disappear into the joke. In a sense, we feel our essence, which is this joy and this laughter, and you got a chance to experience that. This is kind of what the workshop's about, is the experience, not the meal. It's the meal, not the menu. We can talk about this, but until you feel it, because it's the feeling that connects the new habit. There was this student, and he wanted to know, well, who am I? And he goes to this really experienced teacher. He says, teacher, you're going to have to help me. I want to know who I am. I want to know the essence of God. I want to know reality. I want to be in touch with the cosmos. And the teacher says, time out. Stop. Just stop. Let me tell you a joke. So the teacher tells a joke. It was a shaggy dog joke. And the student starts to laugh and thinks it's hysterical. The teacher turns to the student and says, there you are. That's who you are. It has nothing to do with mind. It has everything to do with losing your mind in the moment. In this incredible, now, alive moment, the moment that we're only ever going to have. It's always now. But are we awake enough to realize it? Because our quality of presence will infect and reflect on whoever we meet. It's the quality of our beingness is what we have to offer to another person. Are we present to another person? Are we a listener for another person? Is our heart open? Can we truly be with another person? When we're in the present moment, when we know our essence, when we're there, it's easy. Very easy. And when we're not, we don't even know that we're not there, because we're in an unconscious state. So the message today really is to create that gap, because most of our time is going to be unconscious. But when it counts, when it's important, create that gap. It can be as easy as just a breath. Looking out the window, anything that stops us for that moment, so that we stop, and that we look, and that we feel. We feel deeply into this precious, divine moment. I hope some of you will take the workshop, because we're going to continue from this point forward. Thank you for listening. I love it.